sitting in front of my dad during our father-daughter dinner, and I was too nervous to tell him my secret. I don't often share my inner thoughts with my dad, so was I really going to share with him my biggest secret right now? Okay, I took a deep breath. Dad, can you find me another music teacher? For clarification, this is a teacher outside of school. Why? Well, the teacher has been making me feel really uncomfortable. At that point, I felt my voice breaking, being smaller and smaller, almost in a whisper. How so? My dad stopped eating, and he started to look at me worriedly. Well, he caressed my hands and even touched my thighs. As I sensed my emotions warming up, I thought, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, why am I crying? It is not a big deal. I hated crying in front of my parents. It made me feel like a child all again. My vision became blurry as I waited for my dad's response, my hands fidgeting to calm my emotions down. My dad agreed that I should stop taking lessons with the teacher. Yet my mind started to fail me again, coming up with excuses to justify the teacher's inappropriate and hurtful actions. But he's the best music teacher I've ever had. He helped me gain my skills back. My skills improved rapidly. I respect him. Maybe it's not that much of a big deal. Maybe there's a different solution. Maybe I am wrong. As we finished our meal in silence, my dad held on to me tightly throughout our walk home. As I repeated to myself a million times, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. It's not that bad. It's not a big deal. I finally calmed down in my room, but I was still hesitating to tell my mom the story after she got back from her business trip. Noticing that I couldn't make myself to tell her, my dad decided to tell my mom instead. Then, my mom immediately rushed me out to the living room, asking me the details of what happened. Then, she contacted the other parents who also had their children studying with the teacher. Unfortunately, she uncovered that the teacher was having the same behaviors with other young girls. I remember looking through the memories, sitting in front of my dad, and this time, my mom too. I felt disgusted. I was ashamed that I let someone touch my body. I was scared. I am scared. I am scared, but I am still standing here today because after that conversation with my parents, I wanted to make a change. I couldn't stand by doing nothing while knowing that there are possibly other young girls out there who are suffering from loneliness, not knowing how to overcome the pain and humiliation of getting sexually harassed. Finally, I have found a word for it: sexual harassment, unwelcome behavior of a sexual nature. In trying to understand how to report the sexual perpetrator to the authorities and how to prevent him from hurting the other girls, my parents and I felt defeated when we figured out that we could not report him to the police. I had no evidence to prove that he harassed me. Additionally, he held more power in society as he is a renowned musician, an elder, and a teacher in the Vietnamese culture. I fell into despair. Even though the perpetrator has caused so much trauma for young girls, no one could do anything. No one could stop him. That was what's in my mind at first, and even now I still cannot make myself to face him and tell him about my sufferings from his actions. So, did my journey end there? No. I continued on. I was still determined to at least take some actions to help other victims escape from the maze of trauma and pain. I didn't want anyone else to experience the shock that I went through. Therefore, I talked to psychologists and professionals about the topic to figure out the things I can do to solve the problem. After days and days, I finally found a potential solution for me to bring about change: normalizing sex education. Well, you might be asking, but Harley, what is sex education? While researching about the topic, I talked to my grandparents to know the perspectives of Vietnamese elders about the topic. I asked my grandma, what do you think sex education is? She answered, it is education about genders, only male and female. Huh? First, males and females aren't the only genders. And second, does sex education really cover just that? It's not as simple as that. Sex education covers a wide range from communication skills to puberty, or even topics that exist in every girl's gossip, like dating and relationships. My grandma also didn't mention the most important topic in sex education: sex. In the Vietnamese culture, sex is a taboo and delicate topic for most people. This has exacerbated the cases of sexual harassment, since talking about sex, let alone sexual violence, is difficult. Furthermore, since children are completely unaware of the many forms of sexual misconduct, they might not recognize when sexual harassment is taking place. Sex education should not be a taboo, but rather necessity. Children and young adults should be empowered to feel not as useless as I did back then, for them to stand up. But however, the problem is that most schools, mine included, don't have a comprehensive sex education curriculum. This led me, as a 14-year-old girl, to be confused, not knowing what happened to me was wrong any sooner. Giving young people the knowledge and resources they need to make good decisions about sex and relationships is considerably more important than just advising them not to have sex. Sex education is the key to preventing sexual harassment. And yes, we have to bring it to the forefront of society and turn it into something that we can talk about without having to blush or cover our faces. Thus, I have a dream of a world where sex education is normal, where victims are empowered to not feel as useless as I did back then. I have two goals in creating this world. The first goal is that I want to create an age-appropriate sex education curriculum that can be delivered in unique and engaging ways. For example, elementary students will be able to determine adults that they can trust and identify situations that are dangerous to them. They can learn these topics through video games, cartoon videos, and catchy children's songs. Secondary students will be able to know how power differences may affect relationships and know what steps to take in case that they are sexually harassed. High school students will be able to assess the impact of social media on one's perceptions and expectations in a relationship. Both secondary and high school students will understand how to protect themselves and how to recognize an unhealthy relationship. The second goal is that I want to bring this curriculum to as many people as possible. Therefore, students, teachers, parents, and schools need to work on a curriculum that is suitable and effective for all. Sexual harassment awareness campaigns can collaborate with schools to bring this curriculum to all students. There can also be programs for parents so that they can know how to talk to their children about sexual harassment and sex, and how to protect their children should something happen. Most importantly, victims can be offered treatments and support for them to overcome the shock of being sexually harassed. Then, they will gain the voice to speak up upon their cases, and there will be people who are willing to hear them. With these goals, I believe that I can one day make my dreams come true. And there will be a day when sex education is normal and it can reach beyond our typical social perceptions. as of a few months ago. I couldn't do anything when faced with a case where multiple young girls, myself included, were sexually harassed. But as of right now, I have an idea, time, passion to make the little hopeless girl back then proud. Thank you.